Dre all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What the hell is that? That is go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together to a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mindsets, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is the most important things that I, Dre Baldwin, do for my brand. The most important things that I do on a consistent basis to fuel, build, and sustain my brand, which is lended to by the business. I talked about brand and business in a separate episode. I'll tell you about that in a second. But before I get into any of that, first let me tell you all that I have a daily motivation text message that I send out for free every single day to everyone who's in my text community. How do you get in my text community to get this free daily motivation text? I'm glad you asked. All you gotta do is text me at this number, 305-384-6894. Hit me at that number. Every day I'll be sending you a daily motivation text that is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. That number one more time, 305-384-6894. Send me a text at that number. You'll get the daily motivation every single day, even on weekends, holidays, and Sundays, all of that. So this topic came from a conversation that was had in my Bulletproof Mastermind back in February 2022. And I noticed that a lot of members, at least on that particular call that I was on, they had a lot of questions from me and about things that I do personally as far as business-wise and brand-wise, and they wanted to get into my brain and how I think about my business and how I organize things, how I structure things, what's the process for how I move people along basically through the work on your game world, meaning people like you who are listening to the show. So this episode is going to give you a look into that and some of the things that I do to keep my business and brand moving forward personally. And if you want to learn more about this, and even if you have questions that you want to ask that you want them to be answered, join me in my Bulletproof Mastermind, where you can ask those questions, get those questions answered, and not only about what I'm doing, because you might only care about that to some point, but also how you can do these things for yourself, which is the much more important thing. It's not really about me. It's about what you can do for yourself. But the fact that I know what I'm doing is the credibility that I can help you do what you're doing. So that's why I brought that up as far as the Bulletproof Mastermind goes. So I got more introduction there. I thought I was getting into my point. So I had more introduction. This episode, let me back up. This episode is going to give you a look into some of those things to keep things moving forward. And I want you all to understand, even though we're talking about brand here, I want you to understand that when it comes to branding, understand that your business is more important than the brand, and that your brand will get built in the process of you handling your business. You following what I'm saying here? So when you handle your business, meaning the things that make you money, you will build your brand, meaning getting the attention and other people's energy and followers and subscribers or whatever other vanity things that make you feel good and serve your ego. That's the brand part, but the business part is the part that makes you money. All right, the brand could in some circumstances make you money, and the brand could in some circumstances lead to business, but often is the other way around, that the business leads to the brand. And I talked about this in episode 1391. Build a business before you build a brand. Now, sometimes people might already have a brand before they realize that they need to build a business or need to learn some things about business. I would even say I wouldn't even call myself guilty of it, but I would say I was in that situation simply because I wasn't thinking about making a business out of putting up content on the internet, because I was putting content on the internet before there was such a thing as making a business out of it, before it was a cool thing to do. And this is way before kids were growing up saying, I want to be a professional YouTuber or creator or Instagrammer. Nowadays, that's a thing, but that was not a thing 15 years ago. So I wouldn't give myself the label of guilty, but I would say that's something that I learned along the way. But as soon as I realized that there was a business to be made from it, I started focusing on business, which is why to this day I talk so much about let's make sure that we have the business of what we're doing here. Well, that we had the business of what we're doing here under control, even while you're building a brand. okay, even while the brand is being built. And I talked about this in episode number 1878. No such thing as an underpaid entrepreneur. If you didn't hear that episode, make sure you go listen to it. And also episode 1862. If you want to be a creator or influencer, listen to this now. That's episode 1862. So make sure you check out both of those episodes where I explain this. For those of you, the generation the people who are a generation or two younger than me, if you're under the age of 25, let's say, you're trying to be a professional creator, professional YouTuber, TikToker, Instagrammer, etc., and you want to make money from it, you want to make a full-time gig out of it, there are some principles that you need to understand about it that I covered in those two episodes. Again, 1862 and 1878. So you are not out here getting burned and used up by these platforms, because they are designed to burn and use you up. So make sure it doesn't happen to you. You got to go against the grain with some things. But I explain it in those episodes. So let's get into today's episode. Topic, once again, the most important things that I do on a consistent basis for my brand. You should probably write these down, because these are the things that you need to be doing. Number one, prolific publishing. Prolific publishing. What is the definition of prolific? It means to present in large numbers or quantities. Plentiful. If you haven't noticed, I publish a lot. If you are on any of my email lists, you get emails from me 4, 5, 6 times a week. You follow this show, you understand that it comes out every single day. Any episode of the show you're looking for that you don't see in the feed on whatever app you're listening to this on, like Spotify or Apple, go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. All the episodes can be played there. They might not all load into the feed on certain platforms because we got too much substance for them. They can't load it. They can't hold all this substance. So they can't load them all. So go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. All episodes are listed there. It started with, when it comes to prolific publishing, this is one of the most important things I do for my brand. It started with making videos back in the day. Then it was also writing. I was writing at the same time, but I was making more videos than I was writing. And now I write a lot, probably even more than I was then. But there have been periods where I would publish new written material every single day. I don't publish new written material every day, but I still do 4, 5, 6 times a week. And now audio, which is every day. I still do all three of these. I write, I record video, and I publish audio all the time. Every day. I'm not telling you this to impress you or to tell you that you have to do it this way, but I am impressing upon you why it matters. It matters because prolific publishing allows me and you, if you take on this role, to stay in front of your audience. It allows you to be discoverable, meaning you are somewhere that someone could possibly find you, so new people can possibly come into your audience. This is a very important thing to do, because when it comes to building your brand and getting attention on what you do, you have to be consistently pumping new blood into your universe. You got to be bringing new people into your world. You don't want to just be working with the same people. Even if you got great clients, you have a great audience, you have great customers, you always want to be bringing new blood into your business, because eventually some of the people who are in are going to go out. They're going to move on to new seasons in their lives, and you want to replace them. Hopefully you're bringing in more than you're losing over time. So you want to make yourself discoverable on a consistent basis, especially if your stuff is good. More and more people should be coming into your world. Your audience should just be expanding because your stuff is good. So more people should be giving a damn about what it is that you have to say. That's why you got to be discoverable. You have to be out there. This is why you need to be publishing. So any of you out there who does publish, but you publish sporadically, you're publishing every now and then, you're publishing every once in a while, stop doing this. Start publishing more consistently. Start showing more of your personality. Start letting people know more about how you really feel, what you really think, and what you're really about, because it will separate you from everyone else who is trying to blend into the crowd, blend into the pack. Blending in will get you ignored. That's what blending in will do. That's the only thing it will achieve for you. Yes, you'll be safe, but you'll be ignored, like we talked about 3 days ago. So you got to be out there, and you got to be discoverable so people can come into your audience. This is also, prolific publishing also works for me because I have a lot of things to say. I have a lot of things that I want to share, and I can use damn near anything that I see, hear, read, experience, or think, and I can make content out of it. That's a skill of mine that I've developed over time. I've conditioned myself for that ability. Anything that occurs, I can find a way to make some content out of it. So the skill of doing that and the act of being prolific serve each other. Now, this is in addition to the fact that some basic hallmarks of what I talk about here, like what I am actually about. If you were to tell one of your friends about me and they said, well, who's this guy, Dre Baldwin? What is he about? People will probably mention things like consistency, discipline, accountability, showing up, being predictable, doing the same things the same way every time. Well, that's exactly what my material is about. That's exactly why I publish prolifically, because it fits exactly what my brand is about. So they serve each other. So you want to look at your brand and what you want people to know you for, or what they already know you for, and ask yourself, what is something that you can be doing consistently to where you are reinforcing that vision? You're reinforcing the way that you want people to see you, or the way they already see you, if you like how they're seeing you right now. You want to figure that out, because they serve each other. These are things that, not ironically, the things that I just mentioned: consistency, accountability, strategy, showing up. These are things that many people come into my world because they want to get better at those. All right, when I ask somebody, what's the number one thing you want to get out of this? Whether it's a one-on-one conversation I'm having with someone, whether it's somebody texting me, someone coming into the Bulletproof Mastermind, what do you want to get? Why do you want to subscribe to the Bulletproof Bulletin? There saying, well, I want to be more consistent. I need to be more disciplined. I need accountability. I need somebody to give me a kick in the ass to let me know that I need to step my game up and keep my game stepped up. Is usually the first thing that people say. If I would say the majority of all the things that I hear, the one that I hear the most is that right there, something along that line. So by being prolific in my publishing, I am demonstrating through my actions the exact thing that I'm offering and the exact thing that people want from me. You follow how that works? The very thing that I do every day is proof to people that I'm capable of doing that thing, and it's the very reason why when people come to me, they're looking for that thing, because they know that's something that I can do. Now, if I wanted people to come to me for something different, then I would need to display and make myself discoverable in doing something different, whatever that something happens to be. And that's where you need to fill in the blanks of what's that something that you want people to notice about you. So being prolific and creating a lot of content, as I do, are clear demonstrations of the fact that I'm self-accountable, the fact that I'm consistent, and the fact that I'm disciplined. So anybody who's looking for accountability, consistency, and discipline, they're eventually going to find their way to me, because that's exactly what I'm demonstrating and putting on display every single day by publishing prolifically. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand, however. Even if your brand or your message or whatever you offer is not about discipline and accountability and consistency, you still need to publish prolifically. Okay, I just added that as kind of like a double whammy for me, but publishing prolifically is something that you need to be doing anyway, even if that's not what your brand is about. So you don't need to be every day, you don't need to be on all platforms. You could pick a platform, you could pick a medium such as video, audio, or written. Doesn't have to be all three. And you want to be prolific because it makes you discoverable, it makes you easier to find. It puts you in a position to where someone who doesn't know you, who is not clicking on any ads, you don't even have to be running any ads, they can find you because you're out there. You have to be outside. Everybody understand what I mean when I say you need to be outside? You got to be somewhere where someone can actually find you. If you're not where somebody can find you, how are you going to get known? I talked about this in episode 854. A luck strategy is to be outside often. And I don't mean outside like out of your house. I mean outside like in a place where other people could possibly see you. That's what I mean metaphorically here when I say outside. If you're not outside, how do you expect to be found? So prolific publishing is the most important thing that I do for my business on a consistent basis. Number two, today's topic once again are the most important things that I do for my brand. Number two, clearly and boldly state my opinion on topics that people are afraid to have opinions about, at least publicly. Everybody heard what I said? This is an important aspect of my brand. Again, I'm not telling you this is something that you need to do, but if you are in the thought leadership space, you need to do it. If you are a person whose brand and business is built around your personality and who you are as an individual, I'm not saying that you need to do it, but it's something that would probably help you get traction in a pretty quick way. If you have an opinion on something and you're willing to state it out loud. These days I find fewer and fewer people are willing to do that, which again, the opportunity, episode 1025, the opportunity is in the opposites, folks, being able to do what other people are not willing to do. I clearly and boldly state my opinion on topics that, again, many people are afraid to talk about. I've talked about vaccines. I've talked about, or what we quote unquote vaccines, not really vaccines. Sorry, there's an opinion right there. I've talked about BLM. I've talked about police. I've talked about the government. I talked about men who decide to be women and then want to play women's sports. I talked about wokeness. I talked about cancel culture. I talked about all of these things that many people would never talk about on the record in public because they're afraid of saying something that would cause certain people to be at odds with them. Me, I don't give a damn if somebody's at odds with me. Actually, I welcome people being at odds with me so they can get the hell out of my audience and I can stop wasting any of my bandwidth or attention on them. I want them to get out quick. And I want the people who are in to come further in. That's why I'm willing to share my opinion. And because I am articulate enough and confident enough to speak on my opinion and defend my opinion and stand on it if someone wanted to challenge me. This is all part of my brand. So again, remember what today's episode is. The most important things I do for my brand. So you need to figure out, or if you already know, what is your brand? What is your brand going to be about? And what is it about your brand that's going to separate you from everyone else in your space who might sound like, look like, or smell like you? This is one of the things that I do. See, knowing that these topics, like the COVID jabs and BLM and cancel culture and anything that has to do with politics, anything that has to do with wokeness, anything that has to do with police and anything that has racial issues, gender issues, pay gap issues, all these things that people are afraid to talk about. I know that a lot of people are afraid to talk about these because they have audiences and they don't want to piss anybody off. So here's what I do. I notice that they're afraid of it, and what I just tell you, episode 1025, where's the opportunity, folks? In the opposites. The opportunity is in doing what everybody else is either unwilling or incapable of doing. So I take advantage of that by just stepping into the breach. And they can know exactly what I'm doing. I'm putting this out here for everybody to hear. Everybody sees that I'm doing this. You can go look through my episode archive. You can see that I've talked about these things loudly and clearly. And I'm willing to. And I know that others that could be my quote unquote competition, they're not willing to. So this separates me. And those who disagree with the things that I said, they can go away. And those who agree with it, they're coming further into my world. All right, this is strategic, folks. So clearly and boldly stating my opinions on topics that people are afraid to talk about is a strategic advantage that I have. It's an ethical, unfair advantage. When you listen to enough of my material or consume it, let's say, whether it's written, video, or audio, you'll notice that most of the things that I talk about are evergreen topics. Like this episode right here is an evergreen topic. Somebody could listen to this 5 years from now and it will be just as relevant as it is today when you're listening to it. But most of the time when I'm talking about stuff, it's not some current event, it's not some hot topic news item. But if and when I do talk about something that's in the news, which I've done a few times over the years, I always explain how it relates back to the evergreen material that I talk about 98% of the time. So even if I talk about something that is going on right now, I always relate it back to, okay, how does this relate to something that's evergreen, something that I've already said in the past? And I often on the show will tell you, hey, yeah, I'm talking about this right now, but understand, this is not the first time I've said something like this. It's not the first time I've expressed this point. It's not the first time I've shared this principle. It's not the first time I've shown you that I have this opinion. This is not brand new. And I always let people know that because I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm just taking a certain stance because I think it's popular or I'm trying to jump on and ride some wave. I've been talking about these things before they were popular. Everything. Like, you see what number episode this is? All right, that's in the thousands, folks. And that's every day in the thousands. It's 365 days in a year. Do the math. I'm not new to any of this. And none of this is new to me. So if you take in enough of my material, you'll notice it's mostly evergreen. But even when I talk about something that's news, quote unquote, I always relate it back to the evergreen material, which makes that evergreen as well. And here's why it matters and why it benefits my brand, why I'm bringing all this up. Anyone who has consumed any of my material knows that my brand is all about this guy. He gets to the point, the brass tacks, straight talk, real talk, as some people call it, on whatever topic. And when I say real talk, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm correct. It doesn't mean that I have the best opinion. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me, but you will understand me. And again, that's something else that separates me from other people who may be in my space, quote unquote competition. Since many people see me as, or even literally have me as a coach, not a sport coach, but just a coach, period. One thing we know about coaches, any of you who's ever played a sport or ever had a coach, here's one thing we know about coaches. And the coaches who listen to the show, you know this. Coaches have a license to tell you things that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear. That's the good thing about being a coach, is that you can tell people exactly what they need to know, even if they don't want to know it. But that's your job as a coach. That's why you're there. That's why you got the whistle around your neck, so that you can tell people what they need to hear. And good coaching clients accept coaching even when they don't like what the coach told them. Is this true or not? All the coaches who are listening to me right now, your best clients, sport coaches, your best players, you can tell them everything they need to hear, even when you're chewing them out, and they will accept it because they know they needed it, right? So again, by talking about topics that many people have opinions on, everybody has opinions on the topics that I've talked about on the record, but they don't want to go on the record with them, which is fine. I actually want them to stay just like that because it gives me space that they can't step into. I demonstrate by doing that the thing that most people won't do. I demonstrate my ability to get to the point and talk about these things in a real way, as far as I see it at least, as well as my willingness to grab my balls and say things that you might be thinking, but you might not be willing to say out loud for whatever reason. Like, there are plenty of people listening to me right now who really love the things that I've said on certain current event topics, but because of your position, maybe the job status that you have or the position you have in a certain community, or because it just wouldn't be worth it for you, you won't say those things out loud. But hearing me say it, you enjoy the fact that I'll say it out loud. And I'm all right with that. And again, we can keep it just like that because I'll be that person, and that gives me space. Because again, as I said, the opportunity is in the opposites. So it's okay if you don't say it because I'll say it. And a couple things I want you to note about what I'm giving you here, right here in this second point. When I say I talk about things in a quote unquote real way, and I got that verbiage from people who I've actually talked to who consume my material. I asked them, what is it about my material that you like? And this is their words. I've heard this over and over again. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right. It doesn't mean that my opinion is better than your opinion or that I have more better information than you. Often these are just my opinions. And I will tell you when I'm giving you my opinion. And we don't have to agree on opinions. We can have complete opposite opinions, me and you. But understand something. You will understand exactly what mine is, and you'll understand why my opinion is my opinion. And that's something that anyone who's positioning themselves in a spot of authority, if you want to be looked at as an authority, especially those of you in the thought leadership space, it is literally called thought leadership. If you want to be an authority, you must be able to do this. State your opinion and then stand on it and defend that opinion. If you are not stating an opinion, you're not standing on and defending an opinion, you are not a leader, you are a follower. You are not a thought leader if you are not sharing your thoughts. That just makes sense, right? And I know many people who want to be thought leaders and they're doing their best to step into thought leadership, but they haven't shared any opinions. Nobody knows what you think. So how are you going to be a leader if you won't even start? You will not always please everyone. Trust me, I know that I don't please everyone with some of the opinions that I've shared here on the show. But I need to know why you have the idea that you have. So if I'm listening to you, I want to know why you have the position that you have. And I need you to know why I have mine. And number two, when I tell you that I'm going to speak on a subject that not everyone is comfortable talking about, or I show you that I'm willing to do it by just putting it out, I let you know another thing that, again, is part of my brand. Because the topic here today, the most important things I do for my brand, is that I make it clear that I do not exist for the purpose of appeasing people. The purpose of my platform, the Work on Your Game world, whether it's a book I write, an article I put out, an episode of this show, a video I post, a caption on Facebook, whatever, I don't create material because I'm trying to appease you or anybody else. I make the material because I'm telling you straight up and down, this is what it is. You can agree, you can disagree. You can like it, you can not like it. You can follow me, you can unfollow. You can subscribe, you can unsubscribe. But it's not going to change my opinion. It's not going to change my perspective. It's not going to change my approach. And that right there, folks, is part of my brand. I'm not saying it needs to be part of your brand, but if you want that to be part of your brand, you can't be needy and a leader at the same time. You can't need people and lead people at the same time. Everybody follow me? I talked about this in episode 301. You cannot need and lead at the same time. Again, that's episode 301. If you want to lead people, you need to not need them. But if you need people, you can't lead them. Because when they realize that you need them, then they can just use you. You can't lead somebody when you need them. Everybody following me so far? Don't need to repeat anything. So when I show people that I'm not here to appease, there's a certain population who's looking for exactly that. There's a certain population of people who want to talk to someone who's going to give them the real conversation and is not worried about appeasement. But there's also a population of people who are not interested in that. They don't want someone to tell them something that's going to make them uncomfortable. They don't want someone to challenge their positions and challenge their thoughts and challenge their conventions and challenge their amazing wisdom that they have about the world, which is not really wisdom, but they think it is. There are people who don't want to hear that shit at all. And those people leave here. They don't come back. And that's exactly what I want. I want to bring in more of the people who want this kind of conversation. I want to get rid of the people who don't. And I want to do so as quickly as possible. So I don't want you to listen to 30 episodes of the show before you realize that you don't want to listen to this anymore. I want you to listen to one episode and know before it's even over that this is not for you. But that's again, I want you to be clear. Everything I'm telling you here today, this is my brand. This is the things that I do for my brand. But I want you to understand something. If you listen to what I said in the last episode, or 2 episodes ago, and what I'm saying here, is that absolutes, like I told you that Dan Kennedy quote, people who get into high levels of success and anything they do, they have absolutes in those spaces. They have things that are completely unacceptable, things that they do not accept, and they live by absolutes. They draw a line in the sand, and there's no other line. There's no crossing that line. This is exactly how it is. Either you're in or you're out. And the line is very, very clear. It's not a blurry line. It's very clear what side of the line you're on at all times. You need to know what those lines are for you. Anything you want to be great at, you need to have those lines. So there's a certain population I'm looking for, and there's a certain population I want to get rid of if they happen to stumble their way into my world. I don't know how they got here. I don't know who let them in, but we get rid of them quick. And I want to do it as quickly as possible. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, most important things that I do for my brand. Consistently employ methods of getting my face seen and my voice heard and my words read by people who don't know me. Getting seen, heard, read, and known by people who do not or did not previously know who the hell I was. This includes any form of outreach, such as advertising, joint ventures, affiliate marketing, media appearances. These are things that I do to get myself seen again by people who already have audiences. When I do things like what I just said, let's say a media appearance or affiliate marketing or joint venture, I'm finding someone who already has an audience that trusts them. I get myself in front of that audience, and now I get a little bit of that trust to rub off on me. I talked about this in episode 1835, the 3 marketing strategies and how to use each. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right episode. 3 marketing traffic strategies. Again, that's episode 1835. We talked about this, and that was the point on collaboration. So go listen to 1835 and you know exactly what I mean. What I'm talking about here is getting yourself seen, heard, and known. Even if your business is going great right now, you got great clients, you're making great money and doing all your stuff, you always want to continually be bringing new blood into your business. Because if you're good, then your audience should be expanding. It doesn't have to stay the same size, it should be expanding. So any form of outreach, because even if business is going amazing, you're killing it right now, keep the new blood flowing, because no matter how good it is going, you always want to keep that faucet flowing. All right, even if it's only a little drip, you want to keep it dripping. Last thing you want is to catch yourself in a stagnant position with no new blood to call on, because then you're starting from zero. And this goes for any form of business that needs any form of business that works off of having leads, which is basically any business. All right, Amazon has leads, Google gets leads, Instagram has leads, you sell books, you have leads, Apple has leads, Jordan brand has leads, GoPro, everybody has leads. Pete, that a lead is a person who is or may be interested in buying their stuff. Okay? You always want to be bringing new leads into your business. Even if they don't become sales and customers, you always want to be bringing in new leads so that you can keep dripping on them. Because not everybody who hears about your business today is going to buy everything you're selling right now, drop everything, and just buy everything that you got. But as long as you start the relationship, you make yourself eligible to sell them something at some point in the future. But if they don't know who you are, then nothing can happen. You follow me? So I don't care if you sell cars, houses, books, speaking gigs, courses, anything else. To sell things, you need human beings to sell things to. You can't sell things to yourself. So you should always bring new people into your world, and it is advised that you have a duplicatable, repeatable system for bringing new people into your world on a consistent basis. Don't just randomly do stuff whenever you remember to do stuff and hope that it works out. And point number 4, today's topic, once again, is the most important things that I do for my brand is allow the business to build the brand. I talked about this as a disclaimer at the top of this episode, but here's the whole point on it. Again, episode 1391, build a business before you build a brand. In a nutshell, what I mean with this is, what I explained in that episode is that attention, i.e. the building of your brand, meaning the more attention that you have, follows the money. People have a lot of money, they usually get a lot of attention. Is this true? Of course it is. So when you focus on making money, you will get attention as a natural byproduct. You don't even have to try to get attention. Just get money, you'll get attention. But if you get attention but don't focus on getting money, then you might have to do a two-step process. Why even do that when one serves the other anyway? So if you focus on making money, the attention will come in behind it automatically. But listen to that whole episode so you get the full context. Again, 1391. Now the reason why I do this, listen, I'm a human being just like you are. So I, just like you, would love to have 1 million followers on every social media platform, just like you would. Even people who don't use social media would love to have 1 million followers on a social media platform, because, I mean, who doesn't have an ego? Now, everybody has that. But I've noticed that when I focus on getting my offers in front of the right people, meaning things that people can actually buy, i.e. the business, I get more people to follow me anyway. So my followers increase even when I'm not trying to get my followers to increase. My followers increase because I'm doing things to focus on the business, and therefore the type of people who are following me are people who see me doing business, and I'd rather have them than people who are just following me just because maybe, I don't know, whatever it is that I did to get attention. I don't need attention. As long as I'm doing business, the attention will find me. And you need to look at things the exact same way. So I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Focus on the business and I get the attention, instead of just focusing on building a brand and then trying to figure out how to monetize the attention. 2 steps, why not do 2? Why do 2 when you can do 1? So if I'm out marketing and selling my stuff, I will get attention just from doing that. So my brand grows as a natural byproduct of focusing on the business. Everybody, I'm not going to keep asking the question. I think you follow me. And the business is how we make money and pay our bills. So you're in the business of making money. You're in business. Your business is making money through selling X, so whatever the stuff is that you sell. But you got to be out here making sure that you're getting seen, heard, and known by people who can actually pay for and want what you're selling. That's the most important thing. Let those people follow you. All right. Why would you want a bunch of followers who don't want to buy nothing from you anyway? Get followers of people who actually can and will buy something from you, because that's why you're in business in the first place. Let's recap today's class, which is the most important things I do for my brand. Some people in the Bulletproof Mastermind, a call I did back in February, were asking about some of these things. So I figured I'd do a whole episode on it. If you want to go deeper and you're ready to go deeper, you want to learn more about not only what I do, but also how you can apply these things and come up with your own list, join me in the Bulletproof Mastermind. I will personally help you do this. Point number 1, prolific publishing. Prolific means to present in large numbers or quantities. I do this because not only does it fit my brand, but also it makes me discoverable and it keeps me outside where somebody could possibly find me. If you're not outside, then it's impossible for somebody to find you. Nobody's going to find you while you're sitting on your couch. Be out where the type of people who you want to serve can and will find and see you. Point number 2, clearly and boldly state my opinion on topics that many people are afraid to have public opinions about. Episode 1025, I told you that the opportunities are in the opposites. I'm willing to talk about things that are third rail for a lot of people, not because they don't have an opinion, but because they don't want to share that opinion because they don't want to piss anybody off. Well, here's the thing. I work in some capacities as a coach. And a coach is the type of person who has the license to tell you things that you may not agree with, you may not even be comfortable with, but you respect the fact that they were willing to tell you and tell you to your face. That is exactly what I'm doing when I talk about topics that I know other people are afraid to speak on. So it serves my brand. It also serves my business. And number 3, consistently employ methods of getting my face seen, my voice heard, my words read by people who do not know who I am. This is outreach. This can be advertising, joint ventures, affiliate marketing, media appearances. Even when business is going amazing, you always want to keep that faucet turned on and new blood coming in. Do not catch yourself stagnant with nothing going on. Don't just randomly do stuff either. Find a duplicatable process, and I can help you with this also in the Bulletproof Mastermind, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And point number 4, allow the business to build the brand. Talk about this in episode 1391. When you focus on business, i.e. making money, you will get more attention. You will get more followers. You will get more subscribers, not because you're trying to get followers and subscribers, but because you're trying to make money. When you focus on making money, people will follow you anyway because everybody likes to make money. And when you're focused on money and you're making money, people will follow you because people pay attention to money. This is just how it works. People pay attention to those who are out there doing business. You don't have to aim for attention. It will find you on its own. Everybody would love to have 1 million followers and get 10 million likes on everything that they post. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone, focus on the business, and you'll get a whole bunch of people paying attention to you just because. So just do the thing that you're doing, and remember that business is how you pay your bills, not with a brand. You cannot pay bills with likes, followers, and comments, but you can pay with customers, sales, and receipts. 3 things I want you to do now. With all that being said, number 1, send me a text. Get my daily motivation text straight to your phone every day. My number is 305-384-6894. Number 2, subscribe to get my Bulletproof Bulletin, monthly magazine, free of charge. I give you your first copy and a bunch of bonuses free. Go to bulletproofbulletin.com. And number 3, join my Bulletproof Mastermind. That is my group training program where I do a live training every single week, simplify complex issues and make them very simple, bite-sized, and easy to understand. And we're going to make sure you have a clear framework, path, and strategy for how you are executing in your life and in your business. That is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.